Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is channel We Africa, where we discuss a lot of various political and economic issues and even social issues. We discuss them here. If you are new to the channel, please just subscribe and share this video with friends and family. If you find it shareable, you must share it. In the end, after watching it, if you think it is worth sharing, please just share with your friends and family if it is your first time. And if you haven't subscribed, please just subscribe to the channel. Today we want to look at 10 facts about Swaziland that you might not be aware of. We are not looking at the obvious things. We are looking at those facts that you might totally be not aware of. Swaziland is the second smallest country on mainland Africa. We are talking about mainland. We are not talking about the islands. On mainland Africa, it is the second smallest, coming only bigger than Gambia. Gambia, which is surrounded by Senegal on almost all sides except the Atlantic Ocean side. Swaziland is around 17,000. They say its area's coverage is 17,364 square kilometers. That is roughly, we can say it's about 18,000 square kilometers. If we take into consideration islands, Swaziland will come as number 7. It is bigger than 6 other countries, which we consider to be smaller than it. It is number 7 on the African mainland and including the islands. So that is fact number 1. And fact number 2 is that Swaziland is considered the custodian of African traditional culture. Swazis are very proud of their culture. Swazis find their culture very nice and easy to flaunt. They flaunt their culture, unlike other African countries. African countries around them, maybe if you go up north, Zambia, Zimbabwe, maybe Malawi, and so forth, they are ashamed of their culture. They don't flaunt their culture, maybe because of the invasion of their country by Western culture. Western culture came as a superior culture. They regarded the African culture as inferior, and they condemned everything that was done by Africans culturally or traditionally, and Africans became very ashamed of their culture. But in Swaziland, they were able, I think it was because of King Sobhuza, who said, you hold on to whatever I think is important for Africans. And their culture, they flaunt it, they like it, they are proud of it. And we are all of us in Africa, we are proud of Swaziland because of this, because of their strength to hold on to their culture and be proud of their culture. We are also proud of their culture, and we think it's part of African culture. We regard it as part of the remaining relics of African culture that we no longer see in other countries. Let's go to point number 3. Fact number 3. Swaziland is known, unlike what most people think. People think that Swaziland is known because of culture, or the cultural ceremonies such as the Inchwala and the Umhlanga and the Reed dances. No, actually Swaziland is well known for other things. That is fact number 3. Swaziland is known for game reserve, the Mlaula Nature Reserve and the Hlane Royal National Park, with the diverse animals including the Big 5. This is what Swaziland is well known for. It is well known for game reserves, not for culture. I think culture will only come second. Of course, the tourism, I think, is the greatest earner of foreign currency for Swaziland. I'm not very sure about this figure, but I believe that it's the greatest foreign currency earner. Well, let us go to fact number 4. Swaziland, most people confuse Swaziland with the Lesotho. Swaziland is not bordered by South Africa on all sides. I meet a lot of people who have this confusion that Swaziland is bordered by South Africa on all sides. The country that is bordered by South Africa on all sides is Lesotho. Swaziland is bordered by South Africa on the south side, and on the east side, and on the west side. On the north side, it shares a border with Mozambique. So Swaziland shares a border with the 2 countries, that is South Africa and Mozambique. That is point number 4. Point number 5 is that the Swaziland is the country. It is a very small country, but it still hosts one of last. It still hosts the last absolute monarchy in Africa. There is the only country in Africa, maybe probably around the world, which has got an absolute monarch who is still in existence and ruling in Swaziland. And his name is King Mswati III. He rules as an absolute monarch. He is above the constitution. He's where his law, whatever he says, he stands. And this only happens in Swaziland during these days because this culture or this system of government has died in a lot of other countries. It is only existing in Swaziland, and he's meeting a lot of resistance, I think, because of the wind of change that is blowing across the whole world. That a system of government of this nature, I think, has no place in in a world like the world we have today. Then point number 6 is that because the King Mswati is an absolute monarchy, and his word is above, his word is law. Actually, his King Mswati is a absolute monarchy, and his word is law. He is above the constitution. Rather, he can overrule the constitution or what the constitution say, or rather he cannot be governed by the constitution. He is free to say whatever he wants to say. So you find that political parties are banned in Swaziland. No political party is allowed to exist in Swaziland. All political parties, when you hear of political parties that exist in Swaziland, they do so illegitimately. They are not allowed to exist because there are no elections in Swaziland. The only elections are selections, sometimes disguised as elections, but actually the people who are put in positions are selected by King Mswati through selection, through appointments. The prime minister is appointed, and a lot of other people through Tinkudla. The chiefs are also appointed by the king, and they are the king's subject. They do what the king wants. So the only country in Africa which doesn't have democracy, which doesn't which rather doesn't have a system of government where they have a multi-party system, where there are a lot of parties that conduct elections. The only country that exists like that today, in this contemporary, in this current world, is Swaziland. There are no votes. There is no voting in Swaziland. You can't elect a party. You can't elect anyone. All the people are selected by the king. So it's not a democracy. There's no democracy in Swaziland. Maybe it is a democracy in waiting because people are fighting there, people are forming political parties and are really trying to fight and depose the king and make sure that they establish a constitutional monarchy where the king is not absolute, where the king is just there as a rubber stamp and the people elected the government of the day. Number 7, Swaziland is the only country that doesn't have diplomatic relations with China. Swaziland has the relations with Taiwan, which is not actually part of mainland China as we speak today. So Swaziland is aligned to Taiwan and is the only country of the 54 countries in Africa. Swaziland is the only country that doesn't have diplomatic relations with China. China sometimes try to put them in a corner and ask them to have a visa and other things, demands, just to bring them to their side to make sure that they are the last country signing to have diplomatic relations with China. But Swaziland resists this. I think it finds a lot of benefits by aligning itself with Taiwan, and it doesn't want to align itself diplomatically with China. It's very funny. It's the only country that doesn't have diplomatic relations with China. So, as it stands, only one African country, that is Eswatini, recognizes Taiwan as a sovereign nation because it is not aligned diplomatically to China. And maybe we should say they don't have very good relations with China. Their relationship is not very friendly with China because even China tries to play some difficulties on Eswatini in terms of travel and in terms of any form of business with it, so that to make sure that they squeeze it to their side, so that all the African countries have diplomatic relations with China, and that will work very well for the Chinese government. Fact number 8 is that the king owns about 61% of the land and can evict people without notice or compensation from this land. People own land, or rather people are squatting on land that doesn't belong to them. Land, actually, state land doesn't belong to the state. State land belongs to the king, and the king has got the powers to evict them, because remember, this is an absolute ruler. He's the absolute king with absolute powers. Whatever he decrees, whatever he says is law. He has the final word on everything, and this king is usually very, 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 very ruthless and cruel, and he can evict people. Some of them have moved into diaspora because of this kind of evictions, whereby the king will just come and say, this land today, I want it to be used by the Taiwanese people because they benefit me with certain things, with certain incentives. So you guys, meaning his own people, have to move on to somewhere else. He doesn't concern himself with where they move to. Actually, it's very cruel of him. Then we go to fact number 9. The king holds about 10 billion US dollars in trust for his people. But unfortunately, this 10 billion that he holds in trust for his people is not in the official name, of the King Swat, like King Swat or the King of Swaziland or any other such name. It is in his personal name, Makositibe, which means that if he's deposed or if he abdicates his throne in Swaziland, he is no longer the king for Swaziland, he can use that money for his own personal use. And there's no way the Swazi government that will take over is going to be able to take that money from him, because it is in his own personal name. And that is very, very unfortunate. That is a point that most Swazi people are very angry about. How can this be? This is money for the state, this is money for the people. And how is it that it is in the hands, or rather it is in the name of an individual? And the individual who can abuse such money any way he wants, anyhow, because he's not accountable to anyone. Okay, the last point, the last fact is that the population of Swaziland is about 1.4 million. And this population, some people say it's 1.1. It was 1.4 in 2015. I think it could have grown higher. But some people say it's kept on fluctuating, going up and down because of AIDS. Because Swaziland has got the highest AIDS prevalence in the world. Most Swazis, about 40% Swazi people suffer from AIDS, and a lot of people, a lot of children in Swaziland are orphaned because their parents died because of AIDS. I don't know. Some people accuse the king, whose habit of taking wives at any time and has got more than 15, as encouraging people to have unprotected sex, and people are having unprotected sex, and this, I think, is contributing to the number of people who are suffering from AIDS in Swaziland. And this is a fact that is very, very disconcerting as far as Swaziland is concerned. It overtook Botswana. Botswana was the highest. Now Swaziland is sitting on the first on the first position in terms of the number of people with AIDS, the percentage of the number of people with AIDS in the whole world. And some people would say that it is because of polygamous relations that are allowed in Swaziland. That is another misconception that I need to clear here. A lot of the Swazi people are not polygamous. It is something that people can preach and people think is widespread in Swaziland. My understanding of the Swaziland society is that it's not that widespread, and only a few people, especially the king and his chiefs and other few people. Of course, the king encourages it. I remember, was it in 2018 on his birthday that he told his people that they should marry a second wife. It's not common. Most Swazi people are monogamous and they prefer it that way. And if AIDS is spreading, it is spreading because of other factors, not because the Swazi people are polygamous. No, that's not very true. So there it is. There you are, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the 10 facts that I think you might not be aware of about Swaziland. It is such a beautiful country. It is a very beautiful country with a lot of resources, a lot of natural resources, and the people there are cultural and are very, very, very polite, are very, very courteous. They are the sweetest people you can meet, very friendly. If you want to visit Swaziland, you should do so with the pleasure, because you are likely to be welcomed with their open arms. They are very friendly people who are friendly to visitors, and there's so much to see, especially if you go there during the time of Umhlanga or any other festivities that they normally have. Their traditional cultural events are very exciting and can be very overwhelming to a visitor who is not used to such attending to such events. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share this video with your friends, and please do comment. I expect to see your comments down there. Thank you so much.